Hey, so today I'm going to teach you something that I learned about dopamine, and hopefully you can leave this video with some idea of how to directly apply this to your life starting today. So I'm reading this book called The Molecule of More, which is about dopamine. And basically the whole premise of the book is that dopamine is the dominant molecule in our brains, and it's very important because it is the idea or it's what creates the feeling of motivation and wanting more, hence the book title. But the whole problem with this is the fact that it's never satisfied, and so there's no destination in mind. Because evolutionarily, we just want more because more resources means more likely we are to survive. And so a good example of this is there's a lot of dopamine involved in things like sex, drugs, and money. And this is why they're so popularly obsessed over, is because they release a lot of dopamine. And yet, as some of us hopefully probably know, most people who get more money just want more money. They don't end up feeling satisfied once they attain their goal. So we could call dopamine basically your sense of ambition, right? And the problem with it is that you never really are happy with what you have. And so there's this thing called here and now um, neurotransmitters, which is like oxytocin, it's like serotonin, like the ones that make you feel happy with what you have in the current moment. And so there's a distinguish between these two of one of them is pursuing more and the other one is not. It's being happy with what you have. But that I talked about in another video. But for today's video, I'm going to talk about the difference between wanting something and liking something. So over here we have wanting, and over here we have liking. So believe it or not, these two are completely different things. So if you're looking from a dopamine perspective, dopamine is all wanting. So a good example that's used is you walk by a new donut shop and you have the urge to go get a donut. You want a donut. It sounds really good, but you've already eaten and honestly you're not that hungry, but you really want a donut. This is why as a kid we always used to joke about how we always have room for dessert, because you always want dessert even if you might not like it, because dessert signifies some sort of nutrition, which would be good evolutionarily. But basically, the key thing here is dopamine is wanting, dopamine is not liking. The here and now molecules, like serotonin and oxytocin, like we talked about earlier, are liking molecules. And so you can be completely full, but still want to eat more. You want dessert. Hence, when we eat a full meal and we're forced to wait till dessert, we still want dessert, even though we're full, because it's a want. But if you think about eating food, you've eaten a full plate and you're full, more food doesn't really sound that good. So this is a liking. So liking is something that can be kind of turned on and off based on your this is simple, like you're full, you're not full. Even though you still want more, you wouldn't like more. And so if you were offered dessert, because dessert releases a lot of dopamine, you want it, even if you're full. But if you want more food, you've just had a bunch of food, and so the dopamine released from that food is kind of worn off because you've eaten so much of it already that you're kind of full and you want something new like dessert. But if somebody offered you more food, you probably won't want it. But you did like it when you had it. And so there's a key distinction between wanting and liking. Wanting is dopamine, liking is here and now molecules. So how can we apply this to our real lives? So this is a very, very key, very important thing. If you are ever in a situation in your life where there's something that you repeatedly do, like a bad habit, and it is impulsive and is overwhelmed by a sense of want, it usually is either food, sex, or drugs, or money. Like that is the big ones, right? So whether it be like a porn addiction, or whether you can't stop eating junk food, sleeping in, watching TV, social media is another good one, or like anything of that way. This is because your want is taking control. So you would not like to keep watching porn. You would not like to keep gaining weight. You would not like to sleep in and feel like a piece of crap. But your body wants you to do it. And that want is more powerful, which is why it ends up winning. And so hopefully by understanding this, you'll be able to overpower it more. At least that's what it did for me. Is understanding the system that's going on helps to add some sort of context for you to reason through it. And so, for example, for me, my big bad is entertainment and food. So TV and YouTube and then eating unhealthy food are the ones that get me. And so I'm thinking, oh, I want this food, I would like this food. But the reality is I know in my brain, if I think about it, that After I eat it, I'm going to feel bad about myself because I know I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, every time without fail, I tell myself that afterwards, and then I do it again. Why? It's because of the wanting. But the reality is, at the end, you do not have the liking. And so, what we want to try to do is do more things that we like, not things that we want. And that's kind of where you're going to get a lot of peace and a lot of success in life. And so, you don't want to do the dishes, but you would like it if the dishes were done. You don't want to go to the gym, but you would like it if you had a good body. And so, this is the key distinction here: is what you would like is what you are striving for, but what you want is the things that's keeping you from getting there. And so for me, I want to be extremely successful, and I want to help other people as much as I can, provide as much value to people while I'm here. Because the more time that passes, the more I feel like all these material things are kind of useless, and the only thing I really have is helping other people. And so I would like it if I could help as many people as possible. But I want to eat bad. I want to sleep in. I want to just do the typical work like everybody else does because I'm lazy and I'm tired like everybody else is. And I would like to be successful, but everything in my being is trying to get me to not do that because of my wants. And these wants are just primitive desires of like, oh, eat this bad food. Oh, sleep in because sleep is good. Oh, do this, like watch TV. And it's like, I would like to be successful, but how could I possibly be successful if I'm working 3 hours a day and I don't have a job? Because I'm constantly doing what I want. And so it's rejecting what you want for what you know you would like. And so this is kind of where it comes back to this saying of do what you in the future would want to do, like 24 hours from now, what you would have wished you would have done. That's what you would like. So think of want is you now and like is you in 24 hours. So you in 24 hours, what would they like you to do versus what you want to do right now? And so really, I'm not going to give you any action items here because it's hard to like say, we'll just stop wanting things. Like that's never going to happen. But if you can understand the system, then you can rebel against the system. And so for me, I use the example of food, or let's use the example of like TV or YouTube right now. So if I want to go watch YouTube, it's like I really want to do that. And typically, I think that wanting to do it, I give into it because I didn't understand why I was feeling that way. But now I understand that there's a difference between these two circuits. I thought they were the same thing. And so me wanting to do something is a completely different part of my brain than me liking something. And so in my brain, my dopamine system is lying to me. It's telling me that I want to watch YouTube, which makes me think that I like watching YouTube. And then I go and do it, and then I feel bad about myself. And so I've been tricked. But now that I understand the distinction between these two, if I have a strong urge to go watch TV, which still happens, and I mean, I did that today. I got doom scroll today, and like that happens, right? I'm not going to say you're going to be perfect, but you can combat the system. You can go against it. And so I wanted to watch TV, but I know that I don't like watching TV because I feel useless when I do it. And so now that I know the difference between two, every time I want to do it, I think, yes, this is just my wanting system, but the reality is my liking system is what we're working for. And so instead of framing TV as being lazy or framing TV as something that is like gives you dopamine, frame it as bad. This is our enemy. We don't want to do what we want to do what we would like. And so anything that falls under this category, we try to avoid because it's our short-term desires. So this goes back to delaying gratification. Wanting, instant gratification. Liking, delayed gratification. It all goes back to the exact same thing. So what we want to do is we want to divide these two, and humans like polls. So we like yes, no, we like left, right, we like political parties because they're on opposite ends. We like to argue, we like to fight. For some reason, our psychology is that way, but the truth is that somewhere is something in the middle. But for our sakes, we're going to play with that psychology, and what we're going to do is we're going to divide this and draw a big line down the middle. And we're going to say these are two opposite sides, and we're on this side right here. We are against this side. We do not want to do what they want. And so basically the whole idea behind this is now that you understand that liking and wanting are two completely different things that we confuse because you think that, well, if you want to eat something unhealthy, that means you will like it. But as soon as you take that first bite, you might like it a little bit less. And the second bite, you'll like it even less. And then eventually it gets to the point where you really don't like it, but for some reason you want more. A good anecdote from the book was from The Office, and it was Will Ferrell, and he's like eating a cake. And he's like, why am I eating this? As he's chewing the cake. And then he goes in for more cake. And he's like, why? Why am I doing this right now? And it's like two systems fighting against each other. And these are the two systems. And so to help you create some sort of mental model or litmus test to help you fight against this, we're going to polarize this. We're going to say that wanting is bad and liking is good. And so if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you really, really want to do something right now in the moment, but you wouldn't like it once you did it, then don't do it. And I know this is as easy as saying like, oh, if you want to watch TV and you know it's bad, just don't do it. But I genuinely believe that understanding something gives some sort of nuance that makes it easier to come back. I know I haven't given you much. I have 3 words on the board right now, and I've been rambling for 10 minutes. But really, what I'm trying to get across is these are 2 different things in different parts of your brain. When you want something, your brain is lying to you. It's saying, this is what I want, this is what I like. But as soon as you do it, you feel bad about yourself because the liking system took a hit from that. We want to like it, we don't want it. Like, you might really want to go out and drink, but after you're done, you don't really like it that much. But your dopamine system overpowers it. Think of dopamine as the bad guy in this situation. You don't want to do that. And I'm repeating and rambling because it's very important to get into your head. Like, if you understand something, then you are more likely to follow it. If I understand how my brain works, then I can reason through it better instead of just submitting to it and doom scrolling or eating bad food. If you understand exactly what's happening and you understand it so much better than you used to, you'll be able to make more conscious decisions and actually change. Because if people don't know what they're doing wrong, then how can they fix it? So if I'm giving you an idea of the 2 different brain systems, you have serotonin, oxytocin, and dozens of others here and now, versus dopamine, that's wanting. What do you want to give into? Like, dopamine is never going to make you happy. It's never going to feel fulfilling. And so every time you feel an intense wanting, like an impulsive desire, that's a want. Don't do it. Even if it's not necessarily that bad of a thing, don't do it, because what you're doing is you're feeding the system. We want to starve this system. We want to avoid this at all costs because as humans, we're habitual creatures. Eventually, we'll come to rely on this system. And then we'll do much, much better. And really, to be honest, the difference between these 2, motivation and discipline. So it always comes back to the time-old saying that discipline beats motivation every single time. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. I might not have explained it well, and I probably just said the same thing over and over again, and you might not have gotten anything out of this. But if there's one of you who did, I hope it's useful to you. But just remember, if you have an intense desire, an impulse to do something, that's this system. And whether it's good or it's bad or it's neutral to you, don't do it because you're feeding the system. Try to only do things that you would like to do, even if you don't feel like doing them. Do it knowing that after it's done, you would be happy. You would feel fulfilled because you've done something meaningful. Wanting is so fleeting, and I can't stress that enough. But I'll see you guys tomorrow.